Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to today's webcast. My name is Zina Pagan, ARF's Marketing Manager and your moderator for today. Before we begin learning about how to maximize your marketing budget, I'll review our house rules. We are aiming to provide the best webcast experience possible. You can help us execute this by keeping yourself muted and keeping your computer webcam turned off. The audio will be streamed. This means that you will be able to hear us through your computer speakers. However, if you prefer to use the teleconference option, use the information provided on your screen. Additionally, I will post the information on the chat box throughout the webcast. Should you have any questions during the session, please send these to me using the same chat box. ARF does not own the rights to the presentation. However, the session will be recorded. If you would like to view the recorded event, the file will be available within 2 weeks from today. We are extending the conversation on social media. If you'd like to join us, please use hashtag ARFwebcast. If you're interested in hosting a webcast of your own, please contact me at zina@thearf.org. We do have a few events coming up. Through March 2nd, ARF is hosting our winter session of the Leadership Lab. This semester, we'll give you the tools to make the complicated Aztec world more simple. Our next webcast will be held on March 1st with AT&T and Kantar Added Value. This webcast will help you learn more about the next generation of advertising insights with all brands, with what they will need to know on how to be successful. And last but not least, I invite you to join Ad Age's Executive of the Year, Wendy Clark, Peacemaker Jose Miguel Sokolov at the ARF's annual conference in March, along with gymnastics champion turned CMO Jen Fay and financial marketing guru Raja Manar. If you're interested in any of these events or other ARF programs, you can visit our website for further details or contact me at zina@thearf.org. And without further delay, I present to you today's webcast presenter, Alyssa Moses. Alyssa, are you on? Can you hear me?
I'm on. I'm hoping you can hear me.
I can hear you.
Awesome.
You now have control and are able to take over if you.
Okay. Well, I'm going to just share, and we'll be in business. Can everyone see my screen, hopefully?
It's still loading, just one more moment.
Okay, and I just want to make it full screen, too. It's loading on my end as well.
Okay.
Okay, it says it's temporarily paused. Okay, let's see what's going on here. Oops. Can everyone see?
Yes.
Don't all shout at once. Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Alyssa Moses, and I'm the CEO of Ipsos Neuro and Behavioral Science Center. And I very much appreciate you all joining today to discuss what we think is one of the most critical topics of marketers, which is how to maximize your marketing and your media budget. And I want to thank the Advertising Research Foundation in particular for hosting this webinar and for also inspiring some of the work that we're doing with their leadership and their independent research in this area. The real focus of today's talk is to introduce you to a new resource for the industry for media research, which will be a host, if you will, of new research studies from all over the world with respect to media maximization and integration, case studies, and really with the intent to become a platform agnostic learning community of professionals in this area so that there can be dialogue and an openness to understanding the value of each kind of media player and how these different kinds of media interact on a wholly objective basis. So just to set the stage a little bit, back up for a minute. Sorry. I want to talk about the fact that there's been such a proliferation of new types of media. I guess I have quite a longitudinal perspective, having been in the advertising industry for decades now. And over the years, you see new media come onto the horizon. You see people start to have certain preferences and prejudices about what works and what doesn't work, and assumptions about the strength of the various media. And you see a lot of misinformation also going around. And so I think that's really what part of the impetus of this professional group that came together was to be able to really be leading edge and to be able to offer up the best and the latest research, and to also be able to support research and case studies, because there are huge advancements going on in understanding how media works. And this is why you're looking at this first page about the ARF study on how advertising works, because that was such a seminal study that came together, really putting together years of research and finding some insights that really took the industry, I think, a little bit by surprise and made them sit up and listen. And so what were some of the major kinds of findings that the ARF was able to provide? It was that more platforms make your marketing strategy better. And I think we all loved hearing that. I think when we go into new kinds of research where we're asking questions that may potentially put techniques in relative order or platforms in relative order, I think we all always hold our breath, worried that there's going to be winners and losers. And I think that what was beautiful about this study and so encouraging to the industry as a whole is that more platforms are better, not necessarily that one kind of platform is best. But I think what you're going to see about some of the research moving forward, and I'll share one study with you today, is that what we're finding as we dig deeper is that some platforms are better at some things and other platforms are better at others. And just as someone who is leading an orchestra, understanding the tone, the quality of each of the different elements or instruments and having them work together really is the way to put the optimum plan together. We learned from the ARF study that silo investing or too much frequency via a single platform can lead to diminishing returns. I love that finding too. It reminds me of my father always used to say, don't scratch where it doesn't itch. I think what we see is if there's too much frequency of something, it ends up not being incrementally effective. In fact, it starts to be a deterioration and have a detrimental effect. We learned about the kicker effect of smart spending with specific combinations of traditional plus new media on the right platforms. And it was reinforced from this study that developing a unified creative strategy tailored to each platform can lead to a higher return on investment, something I think we all know intuitively, but we don't always adhere to. And so the question becomes, what really is the optimal media mix? And that's the kind of thing that the group that I'm going to tell you about has really come together to be able to focus research to advance knowledge for the industry overall, to understand how to allocate marketing dollars, how to put the right combinations of platforms together in a media plan, how to understand the power of each individual type of media, and really how to get the greatest effect. So what I'm now doing is introducing the Integrated Media Research Center, or the IMRC. And the goal of this is to address research needs to help marketers and companies and media planners and media agencies and research companies think about how to maximize their marketing budgets. And the founders are senior executives across the marketing, advertising, and research industry, including several key ARF executives. So we've been working very closely with the ARF to further these goals. And the ultimate goal is that by sharing information, marketers can optimize the use of each marketing medium. And so you should think of this center as a go-to place as thorny media questions come up, as you're thinking about alternative media and developing optimum plans, as you're thinking about making recommendations to your clients, if you're looking for case studies to help make a point, or to help understand the dynamics of something, this is really a resource center which is channel agnostic and really intended to be something that is a living organism where we're constantly every month updating research and case studies and having dialogues. So the IMRC is made up to basically do 4 things. It's to promote new research, and just being involved in this myself, I've found it to be really exhilarating to be able to share in some of the latest research studies, some that Ipsos has been able to bring to the table, but so many more that are coming from all over the world and other types of resources, to be able to share those studies, case studies, best practices, and really have great dialogues about what the future of media is and how it can be more effective and also more cost-effective. So the way that people can easily tap into this is to go to the IMRC website, and that's www.imresearchcenter.com, and I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that as we go along in terms of how to work with it. So let's start with really maybe an overview of the website, and I'm a little embarrassed that my picture's up there in the upper left-hand corner, but that's because it's on the website this month because of an interview that I gave from a study that was done for Canada Post, looking at the power of different kinds of media channels. And so that's an example. This is actually what the homepage looks like right now. If you click on it, you'll see a video interview. If you click on the box next to it, you'll see a case study that I'm going to talk about. And just to get a sense of the depth and breadth of this, we already have close to 1,000 very current, very seminal research articles, several real-life case studies, and we encourage you to participate as you yourself do. I think there's a lot of research companies on this call. As you do research that moves knowledge forward, please think about making sure that it is posted to this website. As you do case studies that you're really proud of, please make sure that you think about sharing them with the industry at large so that we can all get smarter. And I think, so you have a sense of what goes on in this very diverse group of professionals that come together on a regular basis. We try to zero in on what are the key topics that the industry really cares about. And so, for instance, the one that kept bubbling up that is partly our new holy grail is that of attribution. How do we determine which medium in a multi-channel campaign is actually the source of a sale or a lead? And so there is a separate topic group that has been put together to focus on that exclusively. And so here, just looking at how the website is organized, you see that you can look at case studies, you can look at research studies, marketing channels, you can do searches, and importantly, you can join the discussion board where you can potentially do some crowdsourcing. If you have a thorny question about a media issue, this is the place to go and have some objective help of people that are really interested in trying to help you. And then here's just an example of some of the types of research articles that you might find. But again, they're being updated all the time. So it's something that if you didn't see anything last month, you might want to go to or leave a message on the message board that you're really hoping that we will be able to identify research of a certain topic and get it up there. So I'm going to start by showing you an example of a study, and this is one that I was fortunate enough to work on with my client Canada Post, and it's something I'll be talking about in more depth at the ARF in the spring. But I wanted to give you a flavor of the kind of research that is on the website because this is really a great example. And Canada Post, I'll say, like a lot of the postal services around the world, understand that there is a lot of value in direct mail as a medium, but that they're not often included sometimes in some of these studies that look at multi-channel effect. And so they've started taking it on themselves to look at how does direct mail potentially fit into the whole mix? How do they make sure that they are at the table when media plans are put together, and that there's an understanding of the interaction effect with digital media, or in other cases, television media or print media in magazines and whatnot. And so the real desire is to look at both individual effects and combination effects. And so this was really a massive study for a neuro study that was conducted looking at a lot of different combinations of direct mail with various types of digital advertising. And it's what I call a stress test, because Canada Post made it so that everything was on a level playing field. They created 2 campaigns for 2 ersatz brands, and so there really wasn't a known brand effect. And they looked at each of the different types of platforms on an individual basis, in a combination basis, and on a sequencing basis. So they really put each medium through the rigor. And to do that, we tried to do exposure as naturally as possible, so that when respondents came in and direct mail was part of their cell, they were sent to a mailbox like you see in the upper left. And in that mailbox was direct mail advertising that was personally addressed to that respondent. If email advertising was part of the mix, they were told to go online, and we sent them the actual email ad, again, to their personal name. And then we had them go to a weather channel when we wanted them to see banner advertising, so that would appear somewhat naturally, and the same with going to YouTube to see pre-roll. And so I think one of the real beauties of this test was the control of exposure to be as natural as possible, because some studies don't put the priority there. And in terms of what we did, we used EEG and eye tracking as a way of measuring a number of metrics, and we also included a survey the next day that was sent to them so that we could understand things like recall and brand impact. So just to give you a sense of the kind of information that's in here, and it's really a huge study, and there's a lot of detail if you're looking for certain kinds of information about combinations and sequencing. I encourage you to download the white paper from our site. But we looked very specifically at what I'll call independent effects, meaning what was the effect if people only saw one kind of platform, if they saw email, or direct mail, or pre-roll, 2 exposures to the same type of medium for each campaign, and then what might happen later if we looked at combination effects. What happens if you're looking at direct mail and digital mail as opposed to digital only? Is there a lift? And in this case, there's a big lift on time spent. There's a significant lift in arousal. It doesn't look like a big percentage, but if you look at the actual scale from the EEG, it was a very significant impact. And the same even with brand recall. So across different types of metrics, we're seeing that there are lifts when we put certain medium together in combination. And then finally, we see tremendous sequencing effects, where the actual order of something, and I think for any of you that do research in this area, and particularly something as sensitive as sequencing, where you may not expect to see a large effect, and you need something like neuro to really go in and measure in a very sensitive way, it's quite remarkable to see that we can pick up some consistency of impact with consistency really across all the different treatments, understanding that there is a power of impact. And I think what we found in this study is that, for instance, if digital mail comes before direct mail, that the digital mail almost acts as a warm-up act, that it provokes, but it doesn't encourage that much engagement, but that in essence, a priming effect has taken place. And it's been planted on your mind. And then when you see the direct mail follow-up, you can, at your own pace, start to question it, think about it, absorb it, become engaged with it, and it has a greater payoff across a lot of dimensions. And so learning how these different mediums work together is something that is of great interest, and I'll just say as an aside, Ipsos recently did another study with Post-Nord, and that was parallel to this in terms of the methodology to some regard, but it used actual branded campaigns. And so it's another lens on this whole issue of what is the impact of combining and also sequencing. So now I'd like to show you an example of what a case study is like on our site. And this is a real case study that is posted. And it has to do with how to get yogurt. Yogurt stores made more aware, and also being able to drive traffic and to be able to trigger some actual sales. And this is something that was done using direct mail postcards to be able to show people, to give them the attention and to get them interested in the fact that this new yogurt restaurant is in their area. So it was a very targeted campaign. And I think you can see on the screen here just how simple the format of these case studies are. And this is the kind of thing, again, that we're inviting you to be able to think about your own cases and be able to share with us. That we've tried to make it as easy as possible for you to include your cases. In this case, the company reported that about 800 of the 10,000 postcards sent were redeemed, and that yielded an average of about $5 in sales per card. And in total, over a short period of time, there was an increment of $4,000 in sales. And so this is just a small, true-to-life case of how the application of a certain type of media can really have a desired effect against objectives. And if anybody on the line here has cases like this, please contact us on the website or contact me, and we'll make sure that you're able to post your cases. The other thing I wanted to mention is that there is this discussion board, and I think over time this has tremendous potential for people to be able to reach out to their colleagues across the industry and get input in a really objective, immediate kind of way. And so I just think it's wonderful that we're able to start this dialogue with this kind of discussion board. So in terms of what I wanted to tell you today, it's really to raise awareness that research is catching up with the industry and really, I think, jumping ahead to ask some of the tough questions, and that professionals across the industry are banding together and trying to create research that addresses those questions, make identified research that's been done by clients if we can get them to give us permission. Some of the things that you'll see on the website, for instance, do have only Synopsys, and they'll have firewalls if you're not a subscriber. So for things, even for things like the ARF, we have ARF articles that probably everybody on this call can download for free with no problem. But if you're not a member of the ARF, then those articles would not be fully available to you, only the Synopsys. And the same with Gardner Research or Forrester Research. There are some things that are restricted on there, but at least you know they exist and you can try to find a solution to getting them once you're made aware of them. And I will also invite you to connect with us by going on the website itself, which again is imresearchcenter.com. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook and on LinkedIn. And with that, I'll take any questions. Thank you.
Alyssa, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so first question, and anybody, if you have any questions, please remember to send those to me through the chat box and address them to the host, and I'll read them out to Alyssa. All right, so first question. How are these case studies being collected?
Well, you know, this is a startup organization, and as with most startup organizations, the people that are passionate about it and involved try to get the word out. And we have a really wonderful, diverse group of people across media types, agencies, and industries, and they have encouraged their coworkers and their clients to provide cases. And then from there, we're trying to get the word out with webinars such as this one and other kinds of media and public relations to really encourage it. And the fact that we have a really simple template, we're hoping will make it easier. And so it's really, the true answer is word of mouth. It's really a call for cases.
Next question. What distinguishes the IMRC from other marketing research efforts?
Well, I think that I don't know of anything else like it, and I would love to know if there are other organizations which you think are compatible with this one that we maybe should align ourselves with or connect to. But it could be in part the focus and the perspective, which has to do with integration and inclusion. Making sure that all types of media channels are looked at as an equal opportunity player in the media plan for any given product or initiative, and really being inclusive and being objective about what are all of the options available to us now as marketers, and also a huge commitment to having the best research available to everyone and leveling the playing field of knowledge. We also have some university connections, and there's been work done with Temple University and others. So I just think that it's a wonderful coming together with a real passion for understanding. And like any organization, it's the people involved, I think, that help set it apart.
Next question. What can we expect for the future of the Integrated Media Research Center?
I guess I would say I expect a lot of growth, and I expect a lot of awareness. And I expect to raise the bar of sophistication across the industry. You know, it parallels, I personally specialize in neuromarketing, and so I've been on a quest to be able to educate people about neuroscience and about how the non-conscious brain operates and how people make decisions, and just elevate awareness and acceptance and embracing of new tools and techniques that are available. And I think it's the same parallel with this, where there's a desire to raise knowledge across the board as a way of creating this means for people to be exposed to new research and new discoveries. You know, advertising's been around for a long time, and sometimes it doesn't seem, there are years when it seems like nothing's changed, but all of a sudden we'll have a real boost. And I think in the last couple of years, things are really starting to change. And the goal of this organization is to keep on top of that so that we, as an industry, can be smarter and more effective and make better decisions.
All right, Alyssa, that's all we've got for questions. Do you have any last thoughts you'd like to share before we close?
I'd love to hear the feedback. I find it hard sometimes giving webinars where I can't see any of your faces and I don't know if you're smiling or sleeping. And since I love to understand emotional response, I'd love to know your emotional response. So please drop me a line about how you feel about the new Media Center and if you think it will be a help, and if you'd like to become involved, and if you have any research or case studies that you would like to contribute so that we can together advance knowledge.
Alyssa, 2 questions just came in. Are you still able to answer those?
I am, but I have to do something to my screen to see them. Hold on a second.
Oh no, I can.
Okay, because I can't see it. But if you tell me what they are, I'll try to answer them.
Your yogurt case study, were they interested to encourage sales among people who do not have knowledge of or interest in yogurt?
I only know what was offered in the case. I didn't work on that case personally, but awareness was something that was definitely part of the goal. And so I think that it was really more tied to awareness and geographic proximity. And my guess is it was including people that were yogurt lovers, yogurt likers, and yogurt non-triers. But I can't give you any more detail than what was included. You know, it's a double-edged sword with cases like that. You may not get to know everything about them, but on the other hand, it makes it easier for you to share your cases because you don't have to give everything away from your client, but you can share the high-level findings that will help others. And this was a case of an example where something very targeted and very finite met the objectives of the campaign.
Next question. Is there a global focus to IMRC?
Yes, and it's something that is starting. It was started in the United States, and the Board of Advisors, I think there may be one that is from London. I have my colleague Lisa Neiman on the line. She may be able to embellish if there are other international players. But from a research perspective and a case study perspective, we're looking at the whole world as our playground.
This is Lisa Neiman, and Alyssa, I'll jump in. In terms of the Board of Advisors, we do have representatives from organizations throughout the United States, but they also have are tapped into international research and international organizations. So, for example, we have some representatives from MRM that have kind of a connection to international research and international marketing industry perspectives. We also have some representatives on the Advertising Research Foundation who are really tied into some of the research that's happening internationally. So they are able to kind of tap us into some of the things that are happening overseas. But as Alyssa mentioned, it really is, you know, it was originated in the U.S., and so currently all of our members are members of organizations in the United States.
But, you know, I'll also add we have agencies represented from WPP, from McCann, international media agencies. And so when you're dealing with people that are international in focus, that's what they bring to the table.
Right.
Okay. Alyssa, if someone wanted to reach out to you for the slides, would that be okay?
Yeah, I think so. I'll give you a 80% yes. I just have to really clear it with the organization, but I assume so.
Okay. And one more question. Access to technology you use in the U.S. is not available in many markets. Is that correct?
I'm sorry. Say that again, please.
Access to the technology that you use in the U.S., it is not available in many markets. Is that correct?
I'm not sure what context you're talking about. Are you talking about the study that I used as a case, that technology, or what technology?
I'm not seeing any more to the question. I'm sorry. International markets, neuroscience.
Okay. Well, you know, neuroscience is pretty much global now. We do EEG and eye track biometrics and facial coding and implicit reaction time testing all over the world. If it's equipment dependent, it travels. The people set it up are either local or they travel. You may not be able to call a local person in a different country to set it up if you don't know who to call, but if you're dealing with international organizations, there are many, I'd love to be able to say only Ipsos can do it, but in truth, there are many companies that can scale this kind of research all over the world. It's really, there have been huge advances in the last couple of years that makes it very easy, very approachable, embraceable, and affordable to be able to integrate non-conscious methodologies into standard market research. If that was a question, if I've given you an answer to the wrong question, please clarify.
Hi, Alyssa. She says yes. It's the question. You answered the question.
Yeah.
Right.
And also, if you want more detail on a certain country, I'd be happy to follow up with me at Alyssa, elissa.moses@ipsos.com.
Okay. And if anybody wants to reach out to Alyssa as well, and you either didn't write her email or anything like that, I'm happy to be the third party to connect you as well. So that's it. That's all I've got for questions, Alyssa. I do want to take the opportunity to thank you and the United States Postal Service, Lisa Nyman, for joining us today and taking the time to present your work to our webcast crowd. And thank you to everybody that was able to join us. I do hope to hear from all of you for our next webcast on March 1st. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.
Thank you, ARF.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.